Today we're going to be working on our next section, which is 2.3, multiplying decimals. Last week we were talking about adding and subtracting decimals. Today we're going to be talking about multiplying them. And beforehand, when we were adding and subtracting decimals, you always wanted to make sure that the decimal points lined up. But you can even see from a couple examples here, specifically as I'm looking at this one right here, does it look like my decimal points are all lined up? No, when you're multiplying, do not line up your decimal points, okay? Instead, we do have to figure out how many points over the decimal point was moved, okay? So if the decimal point was normally right here, you can see here, we have moved it over one place. So in this little blank, we're going to put 1 because the decimal point has moved over one number from the right-hand side. Looking at 7.2, how many places has that decimal point moved over? Only 1, okay? So now what you're going to do is you're going to add those two numbers up together. What is 1 plus 1? 2. So in my final answer, I know that I'm going to be moving that decimal point 2 places, okay? We're not going to actually be working these ones out today. I just want us to figure out how many places over the decimal point goes. All right, so next up, Kyla, 1.65, how many places over did it move?
2.
2, and how about 16.3?
1.
1. How many total did it move then?
3.
3. All you did is you add 2 plus 1 together. Okay, Carlos, looking at the next one, 0.7891. How many places over did it move?
4.
It moved 4. How about 56.1?
1.
Only 1. So together, how many total places will I move it?
5.
You'll move it 5 places over, okay? So this is going to help us when we are working out the answer to know how many decimal points to move it to the left. Let's look at number 1. It tells us to find the product. We're going to do exactly what we just did on that last slide and figure out how many places over our decimal point is going to need to be moved. Gabby, 5.82. How many places has it moved there? 2. And how about 0.41? 2. So total, how many places will I move it?
4.
4 spots, okay? All right, help me out with this. Alex, go ahead and multiply it for me.
Multiply?
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do I put as a placeholder? Yep, 0. And then what?
2. Put the 3 over 5. 25 plus 3 is 28.
Okay, wait. 5 times 4 is what?
5 times 4 is 23.
Plus 3?
It's 23.
Okay. Okay, then you can see all you're doing here is you're just multiplying it by 0, so that's just going to be a whole bunch of zeros, okay? Now go ahead and add that up for me.
It's going to be
Going?
6 plus 5, 8, 3, 2,
Okay, and how many places over did we learn up here that we have to move that decimal point?
4.
4 places over. Okay, what's my answer?
3. 2, 4, 3, 6.
You are correct. Okay, 2.3862. Let's go ahead and go on to problem number, or letter B. Help me out. 1.4, how many places?
1.
7.2.
1.
So how many places total will I move my decimal point?
2.
2. Okay, go ahead and do it for me.
2 times 8. 2 times 1 is 2. Then go down to 1 is 0. 7 times 4 is 28. Put the 2 over 1. 7 times 1 is 7. Then you add the 7 plus the 2. And then you do 9.
Okay, then add those together.
3 plus 8 is 8. 2 plus 8 is 10. The 1 over 9. And then 9 plus 1 is 10.
Okay, how many decimal points do I go over?
2.
2, and what's your answer?
10.08.
Excellent. All right, number 2 is asking us to find the area of the rectangle. So this is kind of like combining today's lesson with what we learned last week. What is the formula for area of a rectangle? Gabby?
A equals L times W.
Good job. Area is the length times the width. Help me out with this, Gabby. What should I put? What's my length?
2 times 9.42.
Okay. Now, because it's length times width right here, the order doesn't really matter whether you do 9.42 first or the 2 first. Either one would be fine. Because when you're multiplying two numbers together, you're going to get the same answer no matter what order you put it in. So now we're going to go ahead. Now, if you look at this, should I do it like this? 2 times 9.42.
No.
No, why not?
You put the larger number on top.
You put the number on top that has more digits, okay? So because 9.42 has 3 digits, we're going to go ahead and put that one on top, and then times 2 will go on the bottom. Okay? Gabby, do it for me.
2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 4 is 8, and 9 times 2 is 18, and put the decimal point between the 8 and the 8.
Good job, okay? Because you can see right here, this one had 2 spots, this one had 0 spots. So total, we're moving over 2 places. So what's my answer, Gabby?
18.84 inches squared.
Okay, thank you for telling me inches squared. Why did she do inches squared instead of regular old inches, guys?
Because it's area.
Because it's the area, okay? Now, this is what I saw in your test last week. A lot of people were putting it like this. When I see something like this, basically what you are telling me is that you are squaring 18.84. Then that means 18.84 times 18.84 inches. Please make sure you do not write it like this. What would I do instead of putting that little 2 right there?
You would do SQ.
You would put instead, write it out, square inches. And I do not care which one you put. Either one is fine with me. But please make sure that this right here is not a little 2. Okay? Let's go to the next one. All right, so for number 3, we've got a story problem here. It says John makes $3.75 an hour doing his chores. If he works for 7.2 hours, how much money will he earn? Carlos, help me out. How do I do a problem like this? You multiply the 2 numbers together, okay? So you've got 375 times 7.2. Who wants to do that for me? Jakari, you can do it for me. Now notice, guys, did I line up my decimal points?
No.
No, you only line up decimal points whenever it is multiplying, whenever it's adding and subtracting, not when it's multiplying, okay? All right, Jakari, help me out. How do I do it?
5 times 2 is 10, and what 1. 7 times 2 equals 14, plus 1 equals 15. 3 times 7 equals 21, plus 1 equals 22.
Hold on, not 3 times 7. We're still working on this one right here, 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is... Okay, 7. All right, so let's go ahead and put our 0 as our placeholder. We're done with multiplying by the 2. I'm finished with adding those 2 together. So now go ahead, what do I do next?
7 times 7 equals 49, plus 3 equals 52. 3 times 7 equals 21, plus 5 equals 26.
Excellent. Let's add them together.
0 plus 0 equals 0. 5 plus 5 equals 10. 7 plus 2.
Okay, so whenever I did this over here before, there was 2 here, there's 1 here, so you're going to move it over how many times total? 3 times total. Okay, so is this my answer, 27.000?
No.
No. Help me out, Jakari, what should I do? Okay, now, we're not forgetting that decimal point, but does this look right to have 3 numbers after the decimal point?
No.
How many should I have after every money
2.
problem? Only 2, okay? So I'm going to get rid of this. What I want you to do now, I don't want you to leave your answer just like that. I want you to completely rewrite it directly underneath it and then box it in. Okay, so our question has asked, how much money will he earn? He will earn $27. Okay, so for this, we're finding the product. I want to show you something though. If you look right here, this has 2 digits and this has 3 digits. Which one should go first?
The 3 digits.
The 3-digit one. You always put the one that has more digits up on top, okay? So I saw a couple people as I was walking around that accidentally messed up that order, okay? Then you're multiplying it by 0.37. Once again, you'll notice my decimal points are not lined up, okay? This one I can see it moved 1 place, this moved 2 places, so my total answer I know for sure is going to be moving 3 places. 5 times 7 is 35. Then we've got 14 plus 3 is 17. 14 plus 1 is 15. How many of you got at least this much right so far? Okay, if you didn't, erase your work that you've got and fix it for me, okay? I've got my 0 as a placeholder, 15, 7, and 6. So now you want to add those numbers together. Okay, so then once again I'm going back to my placeholders, seeing that I should have moved over my decimal point 3 places, okay? So a couple people had it right, but they accidentally did not count this part correct, okay? So it should be 8.325. How many of you have that correct? All right, does anyone have a question for me if it didn't make sense? Okay, go ahead and go to the right-hand side. I want you to write down problem B and then try to work that out on your own. Okay, here we have 0.26 times 1.30. All right, how many places over is the first one? 2, and the second one? And together? I'm going to move it 4 places, okay? So first up, everything is multiplied by what? Zeros. Okay, so next up, 6 times 3?
18.
Help me out, guys. What do I do?
I would put 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7.
Okay. All right, next up.
Put 2 zeros. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2.
All right, then you have a 0 up front, okay? So bring everything down. Okay, how many places over does my decimal point need to go? 4. So I've got it right here, okay? 0.3380, all right? Now, there's one thing that I want you to know. If you've got a 0 here on the end, it can just kind of drift away, and you don't need to keep it there anymore. So what is our final answer?
0.338.
0.338. Technically, you don't even have to keep this 0 here, but you can. And that is your final answer for that one. So this is basically what you need to know about multiplying numbers together. Just remember, with the decimal points, you don't have to line them up. You just put them in there as they are. And then you just count the decimal points over, okay? This is tonight's homework for you. It's just 10 problems for you to work on. Okay, that's all that you need for today's lesson, 2.3 multiplying decimals.